Cancer is brutal. It starts quietly. Somewhere deep inside the body, a single cell goes wrong, then another, and then one day a doctor sits across from you and says those words, "You have cancer." It steals years. It steals people. It hollows out families. It takes the young. It takes the old. It does not care who you are or how much you have left to live for. Cancer is one of the most savage things that exists in nature. And the worst part, it has been here since the very beginning. Most people think cancer is a modern disease. We blame processed food. We blame pollution. We blame sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. And while those things definitely play a role, the truth is far older than any of that. In 2016, inside a cave in South Africa, scientists found a foot bone. It belonged to a species called early Homo, one of our ancestors. The bone was approximately 1 million years old, and it had a tumor growing in it. Not a crack, not a fracture, not damage from an injury, a malignant bone cancer called osteosarcoma, growing inside a creature that walked the earth before our species even existed. The same study also found a benign spinal tumor in a skeleton from roughly the same time period. Scientists call these growths neoplasms, and finding them in fossils nearly 2 million years old tells us something profound. Cancer is not new. Cancer is ancient. But those two fossils are just the beginning. Ancient cancer has been found in a Neanderthal rib bone discovered in Croatia. It dates back roughly 120,000 years. Researchers found it, examined it, and confirmed it. Bone cancer. In a Neanderthal, long before modern humans even spread across the earth. They found it in dinosaurs, too. A Centrosaurus, a horned dinosaur that lived 76 million years ago, had osteosarcoma in its leg bone. The same cancer that kills people today. Growing in a dinosaur, tens of millions of years before the first human ever took a breath. Ancient fish, ancient reptiles, even trees can develop cancerous growths. Cancer is not a flaw of modern life. Cancer is a flaw of being alive. Now here's the problem with studying ancient cancer. Cancer mostly attacks soft tissue. Organs, skin, blood, and soft tissue does not survive millions of years. It rots. It disappears. What survives is bone. So everything we find in the fossil record is only a fraction of the cancers that actually existed. Scientists call this preservation bias. We are only seeing the cancers that left a mark on something hard enough to last. Every soft tissue cancer, every blood cancer, every organ tumor from 2 million years ago is simply gone. Lost to time. That is why mummies changed everything. Mummies preserve soft tissue, and researchers have been scanning mummies with CT machines and finding things that should not be possible to find after thousands of years. One major study scanned 137 Egyptian mummies. Several of them showed clear evidence of cancer. Not suspected, not probable, confirmed. Tumors preserved inside bodies that had been wrapped and buried thousands of years before the Roman Empire existed. Another mummy examined in 2014 belonged to a man who lived in ancient Egypt around 1200 BCE. CT scans showed metastatic cancer, cancer that had spread from one part of the body to others, that is, advanced stage cancer. In someone who lived over 3,000 years ago, the bones and the mummies together paint a consistent picture. Ancient humans got cancer, and they got it regularly, and they knew something was wrong. They just had absolutely no idea what. The Edwin Smith Papyrus is one of the oldest medical documents ever discovered. It dates back to around 1600 BCE, written in ancient Egypt. And right there in the text, a physician describes bulging tumors of the breast. He examines them, he documents them, and then he writes his conclusion. No treatment. That is it. 2 words. Written nearly 4,000 years ago by a physician who saw this disease, studied it, and had nothing to offer the patient. Nothing at all. Then came Hippocrates. Greek physician, lived around 400 BCE. He is the one who gave cancer its name. He called it kartinos, the Greek word for crab. He thought the swollen veins radiating outward from a tumor looked like crab legs reaching in every direction. The Roman physician Celsus later translated that word into Latin. Cancer. The exact word we still use today, 2,000 years later. The same word. And it did not stop there. Ancient Indian physicians described tumors in the Ayurvedic texts. Ancient Chinese medical records documented abnormal growths. Across every civilization that kept written records, cancer appears. Observed, named, feared, and completely misunderstood. For thousands of years, the most brilliant medical minds in human history watched this disease destroy people and had no explanation for why it happened. No cause, no cure, no treatment, just documentation and helplessness. So what is actually happening inside the body when cancer starts? A cell divides. That is normal. That is what cells do. They copy themselves constantly, repairing tissue, replacing old cells, keeping the body running. But every time a cell divides, it has to copy its own DNA. Billions of letters of genetic code, copied perfectly every single time. Sometimes a mistake slips through, a mutation. One wrong letter in a billion. Most of the time the body catches it. There are entire systems inside every cell designed to detect and destroy mutated copies before they can cause any damage. But sometimes one escapes, a cell with damaged DNA that avoids the correction system, and that cell starts dividing, over and over, passing the mutation to every copy, building up into a mass, invading surrounding tissue, spreading through the bloodstream to other parts of the body. That is cancer. And here's the thing that changes how you think about this. Mutations are not caused by modern life. Mutations happen naturally. Every single time a cell divides, there's a statistical chance of an error. That is not a flaw of modern lifestyle. That is just biology. The more cells you have and the longer you live, the more chances there are for something to slip through. This is why cancer is universal. Every organism with cells that divide carries this risk. There is no escape from it. There never was. So did ancient humans actually get cancer less than we do today? Probably yes, but not for the reasons most people assume. The biggest reason is lifespan. Ancient humans died young. The average life expectancy for a prehistoric human was roughly 25 to 35 years. Most cancers develop after the age of 50. If you die at 28 from an infected wound or predator attack or a harsh winter, cancer never gets its opportunity. It simply runs out of time. Their risk factors were also different. They did not smoke tobacco. They were not exposed to industrial chemicals or processed food or refined sugar. They moved their bodies constantly just to survive. These things reduce certain cancer risks significantly. But they had their own risks too. Smoke from cooking fires filled their lungs every single night. Chronic parasitic infections caused persistent inflammation throughout the body. Constant sun exposure with no protection raised skin cancer risk dramatically. They were not living in a cancer-free world. They were just dying of other things before cancer could finish its work. So why does cancer feel like it is everywhere today? 3 reasons. First, lifespan. Modern medicine has eliminated or dramatically reduced most of the things that used to kill people young. Infections, injuries, childhood diseases, starvation. So now we have hundreds of millions of people reaching their 60s, 70s, and 80s. That is exactly the window where cancer develops and accelerates. We did not create more cancer, we simply stopped dying before it arrived. Second, detection. We can now find a tumor the size of a grain of rice inside the human body. Ancient physicians could only identify what was visible on the surface, or felt through the skin. Every internal cancer, every tumor hidden inside an organ, every early stage growth went completely undetected. People died and the cause was never known. Today we find things that would have been completely invisible for the entire history of medicine. Modern lifestyle genuinely increases certain cancer risks. Tobacco is directly linked to lung, throat, and mouth cancer. Processed red meat is linked to colorectal cancer. Obesity is connected to over a dozen cancer types. Chronic stress, alcohol, UV radiation. These are real. These matter. But they are additions to a problem that already existed, not the origin of it. And here is what makes all of this ancient history actually matter right now. Elephants almost never get cancer. For a long time, scientists couldn't explain it. Elephants are enormous. They have vastly more cells than humans. More cells means more divisions. More divisions means more divisions. More divisions means more chances for mutation. By all logic, elephants should get cancer constantly. They don't. Researchers eventually found out why. Elephants carry 20 copies of a gene called TP53. A cancer-suppressing gene. Humans carry 2, 20 versus 2. Scientists are now studying those extra copies to see if the same mechanism can be replicated in human cancer treatment. Ancient biology, pointing toward future medicine. The fossil record is doing the same thing. By comparing ancient bone tumors to modern ones, researchers can track how specific cancers evolved over millions of years, which conditions triggered them, which environments seemed to suppress them. Cancer is not just a medical problem, it is an evolutionary puzzle. And the oldest pieces of that puzzle are buried in 2-million-year-old rock. A single tumor growing inside a creature that had no language, no name, no understanding of what was happening inside its own body. No doctor to sit across from. No words to describe what it felt. Just the pain and the growth and the end. Cancer was there before we were human. It has been with us every step of the way, through caves and fires and civilizations and wars and everything in between. It is the oldest enemy the human lineage has ever faced, and for the first time in nearly 2 million years of that fight, we actually have the tools to fight back.